If we start off by making the bold statement that data is the most valuable asset in any IT application or infrastructure, I think we've set the scene for how important data privacy is. The relationship between data and privacy is constantly being challenged by our ambition to use the data in our organization without compromising the confidentiality of this data. Needless to say, not all data is created equally, and some is more confidential than others. As an example, personal identification information is extremely critical to protect and keep confidential. Hence, this form of data is also impacted by a lot of regulatory domains. While it may be required to collect and process data, even confidential data, organizations need to understand that they're custodians of potentially extremely sensitive information. When we understand the sensitivity of the data that we process and store, the next element is privacy and how we ensure that you can derive value from the data while still maintaining it securely. Depending on the type of data an organization store, regulators will control how data is managed and that is managed in the right way, and potentially penalize an organization if they breach the trust the data requires. Good examples of such frameworks are General Data Protection Regulation from the European Union, the Californian Consumer Privacy Act, and there's also a number of local initiatives focusing on data privacy. What organizations need to know is that if they choose to collect certain kind of data, it comes with a set of rules, regulations and responsibilities, and failure to deliver this may cause liability claims against the organization. First of all, as mentioned, many organizations may be required to follow certain compliance regulations of maintaining and using certain types of data around their customers and even employees. While there are many frameworks and regulations in place, they typically consist of three major elements. The user has a right to know the data that you hold on them. They also have the right to get this data deleted, and it also typically defines how you should act in case of a data breach. In order to achieve any of these requirements, the key is to track and understand what data you store, where you store it, and how you deal with the life cycle of the data. Help AG has a comprehensive approach to data privacy in the sense that we deliver the consultancy around the full life cycle management of data. This could be to identify which data organizations are storing and processing and which governance frameworks they are subject to. Remember, if you have business interest in the EU and the US, you may actually be required to follow international regulations. The next thing we focus on is the technology solutions that power an efficient data privacy program. Needless to say, you need to be able to identify which data you're storing, where you're storing it, and also if it's in compliance with the regulations. If you leave this to a manual process, this suddenly becomes part of the problem, and now part of the data privacy challenge. This lesson is also important when we consider the life cycle of data. If this is again a manual process, the individuals involved now becomes part of your liability.